Hello, this is Father Mark. It's day number 54 of the Bible in a Year. We're looking at Numbers chapter 3 and Deuteronomy chapter 3. In these first few chapters of Numbers, we're seeing the Israelites who left Egypt, this first generation. They have failed, of course, at the golden calf. They worshipped a pagan idol, and so they were kind of punished by having their privileges taken away. The firstborn of each family was not going to be allowed to be priests offering sacrifice. Now it's just going to be the tribe of Levi only and the priests. And so this is kind of a discouraging sort of thing for them. But nevertheless, they say that this first few chapters of the book of Numbers is optimistic. The mood is optimism. Here they are counting themselves, and there's huge numbers, and they're organized in a very special way, and they have this great battle prepared, and they kind of enthusiastic and optimistic about being able to go in and conquer and take the promised land again for themselves. But nevertheless, there's kind of a discouraging thing, and that is the fact that they can't be close to the tabernacle tent anymore. That tabernacle tent is in the middle, and they have to be arranged outside of that area. And only the Levites are right next to the tabernacle as they camp around the tabernacle and as they move along. So it's just the Levites who carry the objects and the tent when they're moving, and the others just have to be on the outskirts around, and they're not allowed to get close to the holy things. They say that this is very similar to the way the Pharaoh used to travel when he was in battle, when he was going into the wilderness to fight a battle, and they brought the Pharaoh with them because they believed that the Pharaoh was like a god. They believed that he was divine. And they had a very similar sort of a tent, and they had a very, very similar sort of a arrangement. And so they say that the Israelites kind of did this on purpose, and God ordered them to do this on purpose so that all of them would get it through their heads that Pharaoh is not God. It's the God of Israel now, Yahweh. The Lord is God. And so they're carrying the ark, which has the words of God anyway, and they believe the mercy seat with the presence of God. They're carrying God in a tent, as it were, through the desert. And this is kind of the mood, and this is the idea of this book of Numbers. In this chapter 3 specifically of the book of Numbers, we have a lot of numbering and listing of the sons of Aaron and the Levites. These were the ones first, Moses was a Levite and his brother Aaron. So they were all from the tribe of Levi, but only Aaron's sons, not Moses' sons or any other of the siblings. Only Aaron's sons were considered to be priests. So they were Levites, but they were also Aaronites. They were sons of Aaron, and so those were the priests, and so those were relatively few, and then all of the others were just Levites, and a Levite was kind of like a deacon, kind of someone's supporting role, doing some of the manual labor, and in particular having to haul and carry and pack up and transport those things that were used in the tent of meeting and such. And there's a listing of 3 of these Levites families, and they were in charge of different things. For example, there was the 3 Levitical clans, or 3 families, and one was the family of Gershon. The Gershonites were in charge of carrying the fabrics of the tent, the coverings, hangings, and such like that. The Kohath family, the family of Kohath, the Kohathites, were in charge of carrying the furniture, like the Ark of the Covenant, the altars, the lampstand, those kind of things. And then there was the Merari, the family of Merari. the Merarites were in charge of carrying the rest of the stuff, basically the frames, as it's wall boards, bars, pillars, those kinds of things, accessories. And so that was their task. And so these were and it mentions that they're in charge of carrying all of these objects. In this chapter 3, we also have something very important. It mentions for the first time in verse 11, and then it kind of repeats it in verse 40 to 42, and that is this idea that the Levites were going to take the place of those eldest firstborn sons of all the tribes. So no longer were the oldest son is going to be able to get close and offer sacrifices and prayers inside the tent of meeting, but only the Levites. When babies were born, if the baby was a Levite, that baby would be kind of destined for serving in the tabernacle tent. But if it was a non-Levite from one of the other tribes, that baby would have to be redeemed, kind of bought back, so that you could take your baby home and you would not expect your baby to be serving or working in the temple. And that was something that they would do when a baby was born, is bring an animal for sacrifice at the tabernacle, the holy place, so that they could redeem their son. And then a Levite would take the place of the service that child would have provided. At the end of this chapter, there's a kind of a funny collection that's made, and I guess that's how you know that it's priests and deacons, because deacons and priests seem to take up collections quite a bit. But the situation was that, there were many firstborns of Israel, as it says here, 22,273. They say that number was strangely low according to the population of the group, but nevertheless, there weren't enough Levites to one for one take the place of those firstborn of the sons of Israel. And so to make up for it, for every one of the firstborn sons of Israel over and above the number of male Levites, they had to give a certain amount. They had to give 5 shekels. They say that 5 shekels was the going rate for buying a slave, so it's kind of the cost of a person's service, kind of for life, I suppose. And so this is what this little collection was made, and so they would collect, and this money went to the priests, which ultimately sort of went to the tabernacle and to the whole governance of the whole army of Israel. As far as the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 3, as Father Michael Schmitz said, it's a continuation of the summary that we're getting in the first few chapters of Deuteronomy of all that happened in the Exodus and what's happened so far with the Israelites, everything that was described in the book of Numbers that we're going to be going through. So it's kind of a summary of what we will be seeing later.